Mojang discontinued the final Legacy Console Edition in December 2019, and when they did this, they also threw away all of the minigames that came with this version of the game. These 3 minigames look on the surface like simple ports of server-style multiplayer to the consoles, but they actually bring something much deeper, a plethora of secrets to uncover, a plentiful supply of maps, 37 custom-made ones in total, but also a development team which were directly responsible for making the game and so could plan brand new gameplay mechanics directly into the minigames, which they did in ways which still haven't been used since. And so for those who forgot, and indeed those who haven't, here is a deep dive into the minigames, the secrets that lie below them, and indeed the reason why Microsoft will never be able to replicate them. This is something which is a great shame, but let's start with the beginning of it all, because Minecraft minigames were announced in June of 2016 with a release date just 2 weeks later for Battle minigame. This was actually fairly revolutionary because until this point, the console edition had just ported Java features straight over to each of the 7 console versions of the game, but this was the first time they were going to make something from scratch. Obviously, this was inspired by the Hunger Games, or the copyright-free version, survival games, which was all the rage on Minecraft servers at the time, but it had quite a few fun twists, mostly to make it work with consoles, but these were really great parts of the game, one of which was the ability to only have a hotbar worth of items. There was no inventory management to worry about because there was no inventory, but also to make it so you could grab everything in a chest easier, there was a button to simply grab everything out of there. This is such a quality of life improvement that's been implemented nowhere since, even though it's such a quality of life improvement for controller players. This is what it looks like without the button, and honestly, it's painful, it's terrible, and this is how it still works on every other minigame for Bedrock and Java. It's such a revolutionary change, and honestly, Battle was full of these because it also removed many of the worst parts of the survival game experience. For example, when you spawn into the world, you have a grace period, an amount of time where you cannot be attacked by other players, something that is crucial to stop you just attacking other people while they go in the chest. Also, another crucial detail is the fact that there are a limited number of chests. They generate in the same place each time, so you could learn where they all are. However, these will refill as the time goes on. That is something that is extra smart because of the way the Battle minigame handled items. Instead of doing what every other server had tried to this point of just throwing random stuff in chests and seeing what players did with it, there were no building blocks available, and instead every single item had some purpose. Sometimes this was a weakness potion to slow down your enemies, and sometimes it was a diamond sword, which would probably do a lot more to weaken your opponents ultimately. But with that said, there was an entire chest load of stuff, and every single item was perfectly in place. There wasn't a perfectly even distribution. You are much more likely to get just a lowly enchanted wooden shovel or a wooden axe than you were to get a stone sword of fire aspect, but it meant that there was a reason to keep on looking through chests because you wanted those rare diamond boots, you wanted that enchanted iron armor, and you wanted some powerful potions and a bow and arrow, so you had more weapons and options to defend yourself. It was a really well-balanced version of the survival games, in other words, and it worked so well. With only 9 hotbar slots, you actually had to balance whether you wanted swiftness potions or you wanted some harming potions so you could finish a fight as your foe tries to run away. There were lots of different choices, and there were lots of different decisions to be made about food, about healing, about whether you use this fishing rod with knockback on, which I think was meant to be a way of keeping people away, but I was totally just down to go fishing, especially on the cavern map. Man, good times. But yeah, the point was that all of these items were well balanced, and they did add more as time went on with free updates to the game. However, like I said, there were free maps available when the game launched. Plus, it should be mentioned there's also a minigame lobby, which was a kind of secret 4th map as a way to keep you between games. This is what the lobby used to look like. It was kind of a social space for between games. You'd get 60 seconds in here to decide what map you'd like to vote for next, as well as to invite new players or even have strangers join you from Xbox Live or PlayStation Network. This was and is still unheard of to this day. Minecraft itself actively throwing you into a place with other people, matchmaking for you and telling you that yeah, hang out with these people, you might have fun. And a lot of fun was to be had with playing against strangers because these were consoles and because they were all lockdown machines. You wouldn't run into people who were hacking or flying around because they physically just didn't have access to those tools. Instead, you would actually have hard fought battles, which was something I really thought was fun. It was also fun to see people do fun little Easter eggs in the lobby, so hit this little lever would make some fireworks go off, or even I worked out how to jump out of the lobby, which is why you can see it from this angle. It was so much fun to join people in what was effectively a fourth map that you could only play for 60 seconds at a time. However, Minecraft actually did launch new maps in the end. 4J Studios, the studio behind Battle Minigame and the console editions as a whole, did promise that as well as the free maps which launched with Battle Minigame, there were going to be more DLCs which you could download with more of it. And in fact, to date this video even more, they had a season pass available because yes, that was all the rage in DLC back then. Would you like to buy a bunch of DLC all at the same time? We'll give you a discount. We haven't made the DLC yet, and you don't know what the DLC is going to be either, but trust me, it's going to be a real great thing. Also, there's some DLC you can only get by purchasing other pieces of DLC, like the Chinese and Greek mythology maps, but don't worry about any of that, just trust me, you're going to enjoy what you're getting. If you add up the free base maps and the Season Pass DLC maps and the DLC which wasn't part of the Season Pass maps, as well as the Fallout Mashup Pack special maps, as well as the Chinese mythology bonus map that you got for buying that, then you end up with 21 separate maps, which you were able to play if only one person in the lobby owned the DLC, by the way. This was a surprisingly consumer-friendly policy. Most games force everyone to own the DLC for you all to play it against each other online, but even if one stranger you played against that you matched online with had it, then you would be able to play all of these. And even as the map host, you would have benefit because while loading up the world, you got to choose which maps were even eligible to be voted on. So people would join your world and play maps they otherwise weren't able to, but you were able to make sure you could play the ones that you liked the best. A win-win for everyone involved. But yeah, with 21 total maps, it was very hard to work out which of these were your favorite. Most people never even played all 21 maps, so of course I won't be able to show them all off in this video, except actually, let's try anyway. This is the first map of all of them, Cavern, which is the absolute OG. Cavern was perhaps the simplest of all of the Battle Minigame maps. Everyone spawned around a cornucopia, which was in a big monument, and this is all set inside a fairly tight cave. There are not many directions you can really run from the center, and the big centerpiece was this ring around the top, which of course contained a rare and valuable chest. By the way, that was a thing that could happen, but the important thing about this top area was that everyone was fighting for it, and it was so easy to get knocked off. All it would take was a single hit and you'd be down in the water, and there's a real chance that if you fall down, you don't hit the water, you hit one of these instead, resulting in either your death or serious injury, which meant that it was a real risk to go up there. And so everyone's scurrying around the edges of the cave, you know, looking around and really appreciating what happens here, but most importantly, everyone is keeping their eye on this, the MVP chest, which you can't allow anyone else to have. It made this an incredibly fun map with all sorts of different engagements, either across the map with a bow and arrow, or for a final showdown in the center where you'd knock people in the water, although at least it was just water, because Crucible was perhaps the more punishing of the starter maps. This has everyone spawning in cages above the ground, with the chest in the middle immediately accessible, but also surrounded by lava pillars, and also at the bottom, instead of water to fall into, it's lava as well. This map is a very hardcore one, as you can tell from all of the bedrock that's placed around the place, and there was even this big kind of secret room where the big chest was hidden amongst some soul sand at the bottom. Getting down here first will give you a huge advantage, but the moment you grab this chest, you are vulnerable to literally anything, instantly killing you with the lava. If you didn't have a fire resistance, which you better believe we don't, then you are going to go down with the ship. But that's also the theme of the final of the three base maps, which is Cove. I really enjoyed the spawn for this one. We've got all these X's which mark the spot, and we've also got a sunken ship back here, which is surrounded by diamonds, so I guess they found the treasure but then immediately died afterwards. This map was notable for having a giant skull in the corner, which was kind of leaking water. This was an incredible place to go, not just for the chest, but also the views you'd get over the map. You could snipe people off all sorts of different ledges, because this map was filled with all different ways that you could easily die. This was a super exhilarating time, not knowing, like, am I going to get the chest or is someone going to snipe me? And so yeah, if you like the potential for bad things to happen, this was the map for you. That's something I really like, and that's why I deliberately live in a bad neighborhood. You know, walking outside, who knows if I'm going to get shot or not. I'm just kidding, I'm in the UK. Anyway, that said, the fun thing about this that you might also not have known is that underneath the X's were actually slime blocks, so you could jump on them and you'd bounce off in a really satisfying way. And also another thing you might not have known is the fact that this map, like every other map, had a couple of variants, so it would get bigger based on the number of people playing. But yeah, these were the three base maps which Minecraft had. I seriously can't tell you how many times I ran into this cave desperately trying to escape someone before realizing, wait a minute, the other end of this cave is right next to the entrance you run into. You feel really silly every time you do it, but it doesn't stop me from doing it anymore. Anyway, with that said, the important thing about this is the third of the base maps, which obviously all featured all of the same mechanics and everything else as the other 18, but all of these were free, while this one was DLC, something you might be able to tell from the texture pack, which isn't applied right now. This is what it looks like in vanilla. I particularly love the giant fossil as a way to draw people in and be a big eyesight, but also the fact that this map had a very circular design, so everyone could always see everyone, which meant if you really wanted to have a showdown across the map, you could, but it was just kind of a known and accepted thing that at some point you come to the center and you fight and you lose or you win, but it's all going to be on the merit of what you've gathered over the map so far, something I always thought was beautiful. Likewise, I absolutely loved the secret lever that you could access over here, which would allow you to get up nice and high so you could grab the valuable items in this chest here. The map was just filled with miniature secrets and fun things to really make it an exploratory experience, and it was one of the better maps they ever launched, in my opinion, which is why I always loved having people play it. Meanwhile, of course, Temple was one of the maps they launched too. Medusa was a map that showed 4J Studios loved two things. One of those was Greek mythology. This wasn't the first time they'd done something with it. And the second of those was snakes. This map is absolutely covered in them, some of which give you really easy access to chests, some of them are just easy ways to get around, and some of them represent the entire edge of the map. There is this giant two-headed snake that meets in the middle of Medusa's head, but you actually enter the snakes through their mouth, which I think is a really fun, building tip right there. This was an incredibly large map, which led to some pretty long games, which wasn't always a good thing, but it was the better of the Greek mythology maps. And yes, they really did make two. This second one is Atlantis, and you can probably guess the theme. Right above us is lots and lots of water. Actually, surprisingly little water, and then a lot of world beyond that. But as you can also, wait, what is that over there? Okay, this is blowing my mind a little bit. They have a random end portal, which as you can see, is partially filled in all the way out here. This is something which is within the confines of the world, and so why did that happen? I really would love to know. There shouldn't be a random floating stronghold there, and yet there is. Also, you'll notice the terrain around Atlantis itself goes out in a perfect circle. This is because this is how the render distance used to work, and they were trying to make sure that you'd never be able to see anything that wasn't the map. Incredibly interesting. The sorts of details they have to put into what is meant to just be a battle map is surprising. Also, this is a map which had lots of these slime bouncers. I would love to say these were used all the time, and they were fun whenever you did use them, but mostly they were just a way to goof around the map, and they were fun to get up and down, but this map was very vertical, and so it wasn't one that I loved. I don't think it was one that many people loved, but whenever it came up, it was at least fresh because of how unpopular it was. So, is that a compliment? It might be. Meanwhile, Ruin used the city texture pack, which was a perfect fit because this is a very destroyed city, or rather a shopping center. I always thought this was a great environment for Minecraft to take you in because each of these maps do take you to very different places. This is, of course, a city center, something very different to the Lost City of Atlantis, which is very different to a pirate cove, and the fact is that while looking around these maps, you got some decent building styles as you're just running around desperately hoping that the right things are in the chest, something I absolutely loved and found to be really enjoyable about this map. This one in particular I felt like was just a little cluttered all over the place, but it was very well designed around a center, so you were never lost, you were just a little bit confused about what this store was meant to be. Seriously, what are they selling? Can you tell me? They've got a brewing stand up here and they've got some form of science machine. I don't know what's happening, but it is a shopping center, and it's a bad one that I wouldn't go to in real life. Because who wants to go to the library, pick up their book, read it a bit intently, and then fall through the floor? Not me, that's for sure. Meanwhile, Siege uses the fantasy texture pack. But yeah, as you can see, Siege is a siege of a medieval fortress. I love this castle just by itself. I think it's really nicely designed. It's a beautiful build in and of itself, but the fact that they made this work as a decently balanced Minecraft map where there are clearly this like attacking and defending side without either side feeling like it's horrifically unbalanced was really, really fun. However, I would say it's actually my second favorite map that's set in a castle, because this is the aptly named Castle, which uses the vanilla texture pack, which is always good by itself. This map was really good for short, range engagements. You would be walking into this room and you'd see someone walking from a different angle and you'd be fighting in a dining room hall, which was always fun by itself. Or you could walk into this room and wow, now we're fighting in the bedroom. It actually felt genuinely organic that you would bump into people by accident. It'd be really fun fighting fighting up here, over there, all over the place, and sometimes you'd have these bow-based engagements where someone's up there, you need to just shoot them in the right ways. It was so much fun working out where people were and finding the sightlines on this map, something which is incredible to be able to say about a Minecraft survival games map. This is, to me, the moment where Minecraft started to transcend being just like, oh yeah, like survival games on a server but better, and really become something else, because it came out at the same time as Invasion. This was aliens invading a city with the army being called in to defend, and the city taking the absolute brunt in the meantime with fires and explosions everywhere. It was a really, really cool map to play because even just the background was beautiful enough, but it was really well designed with you jumping over buildings and actually feeling like you were making really fun calls. You could make a dangerous parkour decision to get away from someone that was chasing you, and they would have to try the same, and if they fell, they would die. Except because this is a fun extracted copy from the console edition, I've extracted to Bedrock so we could fly around and actually look at it. Now we can see what the rest of this world looked like, and you realize they designed a full city just so it would look decent from any angle you could conceivably see it from the main map. This is the level that goes into these because, again, Minecraft, themselves, by 4J Studios, I should say, hired art graduates from a nearby university to make sure that they could make pieces of art effectively that just also functioned as minigame maps, and I really like this one. I think it was really inspiring to see just how you could use different Minecraft blocks in various texture packs to make this sort of stuff. Also, look at that. There's a fun Easter egg in the background of this one too. I really love to see that in Minecraft. Oh, wait. Is that a village over there too? I love to see the weird sorts of Easter eggs that make it into these final maps, because again, no one is meant to be able to see out here, and yet isn't it so fun to do so anyway? If you look at this map and you're not immediately inspired to build a city, then I have just one thing to show you, because this is Shipyard, a steampunk map, which basically single-handedly justifies the steampunk texture pack, and the really fun thing about this was the spawn area was on a hot air balloon, or a steamship or whatever. Super, super cool thing to see, like it's a great piece of use of visuals. However, the rest of the map basically was built around it in this fun little floating town. So you had these super tight feeling hallways alongside the super open areas. This was fun enough by itself, but the big twist on this map was that you were so far above the rest of the world, and if you fell, you died. This created an incredible thing where you really got a feel for being in the air like that, and it meant they have to have this whole world down here that looks at least semi-realistic, right? They had this whole world down there just to make it so that when you fell, you felt like you were falling into an endless real Minecraft world, which just so happened to have a ship above it. It was so much fun to play, and it's definitely one of the coolest maps in terms of design. There are all sorts of wacky features that make you question what's happening here, like this pipe you have to run through where it looks like you've hit dead end, and then you find a lovely slime bouncer, and boom, you're over to the other side. All sorts of fun things were to be had, such as a secret chest you could access through there. There's a lever around here somewhere. I absolutely love these sorts of things, and I don't know how you wouldn't. Also, look at this. It's a brewing stand with a wither skeleton skull, but it looks so cool by itself. Speaking of cool, we have another really great themed map here in the form of Frontier. This is a cowboy town, which is great. It's got a bank, it's got a few buildings around town, and it's got this kind of great area for showdowns running across each other from other ends of the map, which is nice by itself. It also has this train which funneled people together. You could fight on top of it or inside of it, and the rewards for going here were always great, so you'd always find people rushing straight towards the train, which is, in my opinion, really great design. Oh, this is a very odd tree. Is this designed to be used in the normal texture pack? It certainly, is this how trees look in the Wild Wild West? I can't say for sure, but this map was so great they actually had a glide map inspired from it, but we'll come to that later. This map was just an old school type of cool, and it was one I really appreciated at the time. Every single time it came up, I was excited to play Frontier, while Dig, which uses the vanilla texture pack, is a map that existed, I guess. While the next map, Shrunk, certainly inspired all sorts of people, myself included, to realize that you can build a Minecraft map at any scale, including one that makes you a tiny toy coming to life in a giant room. This is a room which has a Minecraft running computer, this is a room with an Ocelot Plus, and most importantly, this is a room where it was actually really fun to race down underneath the bed to go underneath the skateboard and get this chest right here. Activating it would cause the Wither to do all sorts of craziness, which was always fun to avoid, but yeah, it led to one of the most interesting situations. Also, why was there lava under this guy's bed? So that was every single battle map that released as part of the Battle Map Pass. However, they did release a couple of special one-off maps. There was one to celebrate Halloween, and this could be purchased by itself. And then there was the Festive Battle map, which actually turned out to be one of the best the game had. This had some fun parkour, it had a fun little center house, and most importantly, it was very festive feeling with all sorts of cakes and fun things around the map. This was a great battle map and an even greater set of fun things to explore. Just make sure you don't end up in the sewer or whatever this underground area was meant to be, because you'll hate yourself for it. Then finally, we have Libertalia, Capital, and Atomics. All three of these maps use the Fallout Mashup Pack, which means you get Fallout music playing during the game, which I can't show you for too long, so you have to take my word on it and say these are all pretty decent maps as a Fallout fan. If I wasn't into Fallout, I'd probably be confused at why all this sort of stuff was happening in Minecraft, but overall, it was a great little set of maps, a very fun tightrope to walk in multiple places, and overall, I would recommend it, I guess, if it comes up and you haven't played it before, but otherwise, probably not, because this map has so much water. That's never a fun part of the world, right? Something fun you might miss by seeing all of the maps together, despite the fact that they came out at different times, is that between adding them, Minecraft was also working on minor adjustments to the game. Bear in mind, this was between major updates, I believe between about 1.8 and 1.10 for Minecraft Xbox 360, TU36 to TU40. They also had to make all sorts of changes, such as adding sharpness to various weapons, or one of my favorite changes was the ability to kick people. They used to have a vote to kick system in the minigames, but this was widely abused to kick someone who was too dominant. Anyway, the reason I mentioned this only happened until about TU41 is this is when the Tumble minigame came out. So this was crazy to me that literally months after the release of Battle Minigame, 4J Studios showed that they could do it again, and they made a second one, which wasn't quite as full-featured, but was still very impressive. This is Tumble. I genuinely don't know if anyone's going to be playing the Xbox One edition and be able to join me, but if they are, I'll set my game to public and hope that someone joins me for a lovely game of Tumble, which was roughly equivalent to the old school game of Spleef, as you can probably tell from the shovels instead of the swords that make up the logo. This was one of my favorite little mini games. Really, you know, mini games describing battle describe something which you could play time and time again. This was a much more refreshing kind of palate cleanser between playing other major games. And so yeah, we can vote between shovels or snowballs. I guess we'll play shovels because it's more traditional, but snowballs was something which was a twist that 4J Studios put on it, so if anyone joins me, I'll be able to do that. In the meantime, something else they did, which was really fun, just after the release of Tumble, was release a brand new minigame lobby. You saw the old one, you might have seen it in my Let's Play World even, but this is the brand new one, the one that most people know of as being the battle and minigame lobby at Wide. This is where you would hang out between games. Okay, you're not gonna believe this, but someone actually did join the game, which means I can show you Snowballs, the fun version of Tumble, because obviously Shovel Tumbles was Spleef, you could very much expect that, but Snowball Tumble was a brand new game mode, effectively, they made from scratch, and I thought this was an incredibly fun one, so let me show you going off against this Ender Dragon guy over here. Oh, and wow, there's more than one person. There's 3 of us playing Tumble right now. So yeah, this works, by the way, this works exactly like Spleef. You can break blocks with your fist if you really want, but then also you can throw snowballs, which is a surprisingly fun little twist on it, because it means you can aim directly at people's feet and they have to be cautious of what you're doing. I enjoyed this game mode a lot because I would deliberately destroy the area above my opponent and then make sure, okay, he's not getting over to me. I'm gonna break all the blocks between me and him, and I'm gonna make sure there's nothing he can do about it. He's on the bottom floor. Okay, can we get him down there? So yeah, it was a surprising, yeah, I totally did. So I got one. You know, I'm totally counting that. That's a big win for me. And so yeah, as you can see, now we're going to generate some new layers. Don't ask why I have to be a cat girl maid. It's the only skin that Minecraft makes available for free. Even though I've got the ocelot, it won't let me use it. It's whole problem. But yeah, as you can see right here, this is Tumble using the snowballs, and they have all sorts of fun terrain twists to make the world actually randomly generated. I want to fall off and die to show you what it looks like, but I think another guy died, so I have to quickly wait, fall in the lava, show you that, wow, I'm dead, and then do it one more time while we've got 2 other players, because Minecraft also had to invent some brand new spectating mechanics. This was before spectator mode was a huge thing, and so what they did instead was, I think, quite genius. When you die in this game mode and there are other people still alive, what they do is turn you into a bat, which means you can, spectate the world as a giant bat, or rather, a very normal sized bat. You can probably annoy people if you really want to like this, but I think it's absolutely, absolute genius that you can go around here, and you can even squeak, as you can see. Probably a little annoyingly, to be totally honest. But yeah, the fact is, spectating these mini games was a fun activity in itself sometimes, and you really felt like you were cheering on, or at least doing something about it as things got crazy. I always had the idea that when you die, you should be able to break things, which was actually one of the custom game rules. There's a lot of those, but when it comes to multiplayer games, it's mostly down to you have snowballs or you have a shovel, and you've got to kill people and see who's the first to 3 rounds. As you can see, Spiffy has 2, I have 1. Can we bring it back? I certainly hope so. It's looking pretty good so far. We just got to get this guy down. He's not seeing it coming. Oh, okay, I'm not seeing anything coming. But yeah, the trick to this game is people get very terrified when you throw snowballs at them, which is what you've got to be doing. Always be on the offensive, never be on the defensive. And if you do it well enough, okay, that guy down there, he's going down. Oh, yeah. Oh, he left the game. I assume he disconnected. There's no way that was intentional. But yeah, I just have to beat Steve over here. I think I'm going to jump down and, like, really style kill him. Boom. That is 2 wins for me. Can I get a 3rd? I guess we'll have to wait and see. Oh, we have got a party happening now. I tweeted out after we got 2 people in here, saying if anyone would like to join me for some Tumble, and let me tell you, that was a good decision. Look at this, we are playing like it is 2016, and no one can tell me otherwise. Something fun the game is doing to let people know that I'm 1 victory away from winning the entire thing is giving me these white little sparkles. That means that everyone will know that if they kill me, they are preventing victory for me, at least for another round, which kind of puts a target on your back, something I absolutely love. It's a small twist for Spleef, but it really is a good one in my opinion. Also, is anyone up there still? I assume not, but we should check. Okay, Reindeer Man is going down. He's going to be my first target, which is going to keep firing snowballs until he inevitably falls down. Make sure both of these guys fall down, and there's an easy way to do this, by the way, which is going to separate that bottom layer into as many blocks as we humanly can. We make sure that there's as many separations, as many parkours they have to do just to exist, so they can't focus on firing snowballs back at me instead, which is a great idea, probably. I'm not even sure, honestly. Okay, there's 1 guy left. There's no way he's surviving enough of this, because he's getting hit by snowballs. He's gonna go over this big chasm that I've made, and now he's gonna go back over it, but I'm making it hard for him. Oh, no, but he's gonna make it hard for me, it seems. Okay, so as you can see, this is the counter-aggressive he's going on right here. Is it gonna work for him? I don't know if I think so. No, he's found the way over it. Okay, so we're going to prevent him from doing that again by throwing all sorts of snowballs his way. When you're running, it is quite hard to be hit because who can predict where you're going to go? Not me, that's for sure. Oh, he can predict where I'm going to be, though. Yeah! Victory by default. Look at that. I have rainbow sparkles now. Time to round end, 5 seconds. But that is, if I'm not mistaken, an absolute victory. I am proud of me, the fast learner. 426 blocks destroyed, 117 jumps, and 437 distance traveled. So it shows you time alive and all sorts of other fun things from your last game, which I really do enjoy. Although a lot of these people clearly joined in a little bit too late. But yeah, as you can see, this was the mini games, and it's something which was incredibly fun. So yeah, I feel like I should play a second game just to show you something fun. We'll jump into shovels, see if we can do that. So this is Tumble, but with shovels. It has fewer layers as you could expect, and yeah, it means that you very much have to be kind of aggressive about how you do things, but because there's no ranged weapons until it gets to a showdown, it means you can kind of have some fun with it, in my opinion, because if people can't get to you, they can't break your blocks, which means you can do some very, very silly things, which is absolutely my favorite thing to do always, because think about it, if people can't be on the same land as you, they can't break where you are from everything else, and so what we're going to do is we're going to make a little island over here, and okay, well that's not going according to plan at all. We're going to make a little island over here so that no one can even physically get over here. This is an absolutely genius idea, probably, but look at that, now I am 100% stranded. But yeah, I love Tumble. There were all sorts of dumb strategies I had in mind. These two guys can fight each other, and I'm going to be entirely safe from either of it. Actually, wait, just be extra safe here. Let's do that. So yeah, we have two people running around fighting to the death, and I'll just exist with all these bats. Yeah, you can see how maybe the squeaking was annoying. Something else you'll notice is this is actually a randomly generated map, but it is within the confines of the exact same world. There's a desert temple over here, there is an ice kind of spikes biome over there, there's a big cave over there, and then finally there's the Tumble logo over there. So one of the fun things is most people think there is only one map for Tumble, or it's procedurally generated, but actually this is a myth. A myth I can explain to you right after I win this game of Tumble, because something really fun happens once you go far enough without anyone dying, or rather once a time limit is hit. And yeah, I want to see what this guy is up to, because I don't think he knows that he can't get here. Okay, he's worked it out, What are you gonna do, friend? You wanna try and jump that? It might be safe for you. You could probably do it, I bet. I wonder if he knows about the stalemate breaker, or if he's there like, man, Toy Cat, why do you have to be like this? First of all, why are you dressed like a Catgirl maid? But more importantly, why do you have to make it so it's unwinnable for anyone? I just hope he doesn't jump in lava. That's my one prayer. If he thinks that that's what he has to do, I am very much screwed. Aha! Showdown! So here's the fun thing, because of the fact that you can stalemate Tumble with shovels, they do give you snowballs eventually, which, now that I think about it, I should have been on the bigger piece of land, not the tinier piece of one, but look at that! I won it anyway! Toy Cat is a winner! And so now that I've shown you Tumble... Wait, no, technically I do have to show you the fact that there is a Levitate Potions item set, which, you know, that sounds fun enough, and will have spectator participation, as much as I know I'm gonna regret that. So it seems as though the same people who were playing earlier are desperate to play some more games, which sounds fun to me, but I do still want to show you an Easter egg in the lobby. I've got 45 seconds. Can I do it? Let's find out. Okay, I'll admit 45 seconds wasn't enough. I do want to show you around some of the secrets of this, because this is one of the cool things. They could have just had an area, literally a flat space, and said, run around, do anything you like. That's what PUBG does, to be totally honest with you, and that's a real video game, not a mini game of a bigger one, but this actually had all sorts of fun little mini games you could do, and so here is an example. If you put this sword facing this way, you will open a secret chest over here with some snowballs in. Do you need snowballs? Depends on the sort of person you are, but then there is a mini game using the rest of these, or rather a puzzle I should say. If you place, their swords around the map, and if you make this match those swords, something very fun happens, because just like that, we open up a chest, and inside of that are 9 Steve heads. I guess we'll take all of them. You know, we might as well. We can't take all because we're just in the lobby, but it's still pretty fun. There's this nice little step to stop you getting lost, but it's still very fun, right? And yeah, there is a mob head game where you have to gather all the heads, but what is the purpose for this? Well, let me show you. I think this is actually one of the coolest Easter eggs in Minecraft history, because yeah, you might recall that earlier I was talking about the piano with the bookcase on it. Well, there's also a random water bucket up here. If you place the water bucket like so, you know, just off to the right like that, like you wanted to pour it down, then something interesting will happen, which is a secret room will open. So over here, there is a doorway which only opens when that bucket is moved. It's a fun but simple piece of redstone, and inside of here, you'll see there's a room with a single button. Press that button, and something interesting will happen to that fountain in the middle of the world. So, do you remember, the fountain was just like a centerpiece, right? But actually, the water is controlled by dispensers, which can be entirely drained. So that is interesting enough by itself. As you can see, there is now no water in here, but something that's even more fun is the fact that when you do this, you reveal there is a secret lever. Look at this thing over here. If you tap that secret lever, all of the stone goes away, which is fun enough by itself, and what do you find down here? Whoa, is this looking familiar? If you recall, the minigame lobby I showed up earlier is right here, but spooky and covered in cobwebs. When 4J upgraded the minigame lobby, they kept the old one intact, and they showed how it's aged in that time, something I think was absolutely beautiful and honestly quite genius, if I'm being totally honest. And even better, there was a fun minigame where you had to get all of the heads. They went into the chest and into some weird hopper system that eventually led to you getting a glowing light on. Get all 5 heads and there's a secret reward back there, and although getting all the heads is something which could take some serious doing, and honestly, you know, let's show it off anyway, because this map is destroyed in all sorts of ways, and one of those fun ways, in my opinion, is the fact that back here, behind this lever, you'll actually see there's the nether. They put the whole nether into this map using, oh wow, yeah, look at these textures. It's always Netherrack that reveals to me that there's old textures in Minecraft. Boom, that's a wither skeleton skull. So, yeah, the fact that a lot of people, even now, can you die in lava on this? Oh, you can't, that's nice. But a lot of people, even now, probably haven't seen all of the Easter eggs this world has to offer, because it's not just the ability to get all sorts of bob heads, which is fun by itself and realistically can't be done in the 60 seconds before a game, but also it has, oh, we actually can't use those. Can we use snowballs on the buttons? Ah, we can't, how sad. But yeah, there's a whole secret back rooms behind the lobby that all sorts of people probably wouldn't access, Look at this one right here. It is... We're hidden right behind the signs that earlier we might have walked past and not fought anything off, but here we are now, able to sneak out through a little back entrance, making you realize that every map does have some secret stuff behind it. How do we get through here? There's got to be a lever, right? Yeah, I'm guessing there's a lever we activate, and then that will get us out through there. Okay, I think I have to stop nerding out about Easter eggs in a lobby for a 7-year-old minigame, but I absolutely love the attention and the care they put into this thing, and as much as I'd love to go around here playing with all the tiny little details, for now, it just has to... Wait, look at that. For now, it just has to be said that I love the console minigame lobby. Okay, now back to the game. I'm gonna show you how Levitate Potions Tumble worked. So, ultimately, Tumble was a very much party atmosphere game mode, which is why they could do something as silly as this. Imagine Snowball Tumble with a more limited range, and also the fun little twist that when you throw potions at people, they levitate in the sky. This theoretically allows you to jump up extra layers. It's a lot more work than you'd expect, but ultimately it means that you throw snowballs a lot faster, and the map goes down a lot quicker. It also means that you can theoretically save yourself from falling down, as you can see right here, but yeah, ultimately this is one of the silliest things that requires a lot of weird things to happen. Also, look at just the range you can throw potions at. This is very much an OG console edition thing. On Bedrock, you throw a potion, and you'd be lucky if it made it to this other island over here. Okay, I've worked it out. Look at that. I'm coming all the way from the bottom of the map straight up to the top. No one can stop me. Yeah, okay. Look at that. We're both flying around now. But this actually isn't the only Tumble map that exists, so as well as having procedurally generated levels, which were very interesting to play to say the least, there are also some different backgrounds. These are not DLC, they're all free to play, but they only activate at specific times of year, so the odds are you've never actually seen one of these yourself. This is the birthday one, which plays around Minecraft Xbox 360's birthday. I really enjoy this one personally. This is the Halloween one. Can you guess which day of the year this one is available on? And then finally, we have the Festive Arena. This was actually introduced in Title Update 60, which was long after the discontinuation and the ending of updates for other stuff, but it really kind of goes to show you that Tumble was the easiest of the free games to support, but it was also definitely the most basic. I mean, it literally launched a month after Battle, and so the fact that it was anything worthwhile at all, let alone bringing life to a minigame from years ago, is a serious testament to the ability of Tumble and the ability of 4J Studios with this minigame to really revitalize these classics. However, their third minigame was far from a classic. Unlike Battle, which was survival games, and Tumble, which was Spleef, they decided to do something else entirely for the third minigame, which launched a full 9 months after the concept, because March of 2017 is when we first got eyes on Glide. Something I think every player had come up with at some point was the idea of flying around the Elytra and trying to make a challenging course to get around. This was something 4J Studios decided to develop a whole minigame from, and as you can tell from this, they actually have custom blocks. This is the kind of boost thing, which they can use to boost you forwards. This is the lifter, and these are the score rings, which can give you bonus points in the score attack game mode. But long story short, they built an entire game mode from scratch around the Elytra, and it looks really fun, right? In fact, it doesn't just look fun, it sounds really fun, because that minigame music you heard and all of the stuff so far was actually custom made for them by Gareth Coker. That's right, this isn't just a new minigame, a new mix of existing features. They hired the incredibly successful video game composer Gareth Coker. He's worked on quite a few games since there, but obviously Minecraft is the biggest by sales, and it has to be mentioned that this is all seriously good. Minecraft themselves have even used this to promote all sorts of Minecraft related things that don't necessarily tie into the minigames, because the music is that darn good. So the music is good, it has custom programming, and the art and indeed the levels are all made by artists from a local university, which results in something which is a stupendous experience. So that is what Glide looked like by the time of the first trailer, but it actually had been in development for a while longer than that, because they actually wanted to make sure this first map was a great example of how flying could be really fun. We actually have some really early concept art. This is the kind of paper version of the map they tried to build to show how it's actually a little bit of a maze to put these things together. It's not just a map where you can fly around to your heart's content. It very much is an on-rails experience with only a certain number of decisions being made, and that is proved more when you see this more updated version, which is the finish. So as you can see, this has various points along the map, but how it all works topographically, because it all does have to fit within a fairly small world for people to be able to download and play it. But yeah, something that looks like an endless experience, it takes minutes to do your first time, actually fits into it like this. And if I show you my first ever record I set on the map, you might be able to see how it looks when you get everything going precisely as it needs to be. So before we explain exactly how there is even a world record for this, it's not like speedrunning where people keep track of it. The game itself actually did have a leaderboard. It should be worth noting that Glide had a number of very unique elements, like the speedometer here, which is exclusive to Glide, and you can probably understand why. Incredibly useful information to let you know how fast you're going relative to the peak of an elytra. There's also the checkpoints, which can be found around the level, and these will tell you that you've got a checkpoint, so when you die you'll come back to them. But also, more crucially perhaps, they show you the progress you're making through the level as a whole. Never do you have to feel demotivated that you've got so long to go, because you can see precisely where you are in relation to everyone else, or in the case of a single player run, where you are in relation to the world end. This was actually a very early day one world record, which is something I could measure because the game even had leaderboards so you could track against your friends. In fact, Glide was quite revolutionary because it does something that very few server games really acknowledge, and was the first minigame even to acknowledge that solo mode is something that people would want. To this day, if you want to play, you don't actually need strangers to jump online with you, something that I can prove right now by jumping into a score attack game in solo. That's right, yes, it's not just the time attack, the popular game mode where you try to get to the end as fast as you can, it's also score attack, which is entirely playable solo. So this is I think I didn't get the points for that, by the way. This is a really fun way of playing Glide, because instead of just trying to go to the end as fast as possible, you have to balance the speed of getting to the end with the number of hoops that you jump through. This means that there are things like, oh, if I'd have gotten more height, I could have gone up there, but I didn't, so instead I have to go down low. And there actually is a really fun game in working out how many of these rings can be gotten. Again, there are lots of decisions about I can go down or I can go up. It's very hard to do both, but going up gets me this diamond ring, which gives me a lot more points than other ones. I really feel like the score attack was kind of a afterthought in this game mode, but the fact that it works at all. Also, you can see this game mode gives you the kind of ghost skin, which allows you to follow yourself. I think I've ended up in a dead-end circle, meaning I've lost all of those points I just collected, by the way, which I think is, oh, you actually can get both of them. There we go. See, you can develop new routes all the time. But ultimately, this is the beauty of the game, in my opinion, is that even these random little afterthought game modes actually have a surprising amount of fun to them. So now I'm going to go up here, which will allow me to get, as you can see right here, I can go into this diamond. No, I can't. Okay, I'm just flying this way. I'm gonna make it through because, yeah, it's been so long since I played some Glide. There's one thing about this level in particular that I really want to show you, though, and it's the fact that as well as having rings and as well as having fun boosters and these tight caverns which go into open spaces, there are also shortcuts in this. There's a couple of shortcuts. The most famous one that everyone uses all the time on record runs is going through this right here and then going through this right here. It's surprisingly hard to go through such a narrow space. I don't think I wanted to go through a checkpoint, so let's crash deliberately and show you the other shortcut. This is one of the way lesser known ones, but you can go under the bridge, turn to the left over here, and then boom, you've cut through that entire space much faster than the alternative, at least if you're trying to go for rings. I feel like it's a little bit slower for the actual main game, but yeah, isn't it incredible the stuff that you can do in Glide? I think the answer is yes, but this is just one Glide map. I'd say it's the most widely known about one, because it is the one that's available with everyone by default, but there are two other free maps. Temple is the better of the two maps that share that name, and that was made available for free a couple of updates later, alongside the other DLC map, which is Canyon. This is based on Frontier, and man, I love this environment so much. It really does have to be said that Minecraft did a great job at working out the best battle maps and turning them into glide tracks so that you felt like you were flying through familiar environments, because that was the most popular game mode by far. However, Cavern was great by itself, don't get me wrong, but you know what else is wonderful? Plunging past pirate wrecks to find forgotten treasures. There is a Kraken, and it's pretty fun to fly past, but you'll never guess the monster they have on Dragon. That's right, yeah, there's a Chinese mythology dragon, but the part of this level which always blows me away is the very spawn, because you just fly right into this giant open area. It's incredible, just like how it's incredible. Minecraft realized they got on something with these these giant monsters because they had a map called Mobs, which was just a lot of mighty monolithic mobs, which was a little bit weird in my opinion. Body was definitely much more interesting. You flew through a human body, a junk food junkyard, a vessel of viruses, a flotilla of phlegm. It was a very silly map, but I enjoyed it nonetheless. Shrunk, though, is a map that evoked so much nostalgia, I had to go back and play it all the way through. So this is Shrunk, which does share a name with a battle map, and it is indeed the same idea. You are shrunk down, super tiny, and you have to see how well you can survive. And by survive, I mean fly around in a glide wing, apparently. But yeah, it's a really fun map, in my opinion, and it's going to be fun to see how well I can do against past Toycat. The reason I haven't played this map in so many years is that Glide is kind of a solved game. This is an interesting part about it. You actually, have an objective way to do best at this. There is someone in the world who is best at Glide in a way there isn't for Battle. At Battle, there's always a competitive element. For Tumble, it's very much the same, but Glide was a game, by virtue of being possible to be single player, is something that can be solved. It's like Connect 4. There is objectively a best move to make, and that is to beat the game as fast as possible, and it leads to some very interesting things. Speaking of interesting things, you can actually see that this level is split into lots of different segments, and, like at the bottom there, some of which are close together, but you can also see how when you're not prepared for these levels, they actually are quite the challenge. Like, at first it becomes just a game of can you make it to the end, and the answer, more often than not, seems to be no. Sometimes you've got to go down real fast, and sometimes, oh no, you miss something really valuable. It does take some real learning, and ultimately, honestly, learning from yourself sometimes. Like, look at your own, past score, see what he did so smart that you're not doing right now, and once you get that down, you'll have a real good time. Oh, this is literally the same room, right? Just with a different poster on the wall, or it looks very similar. It's really, really cool to see these environments. It's incredible the amount of work that the team put into what was effectively just designed to be a, something you fly past so fast, but all of these environments have so much detail to them. Please let me over this. Okay, it's just not gonna work. But yeah, I think that this is a great example of a glide map. It's definitely one of my favorites from way back, and it's fun to play it again because, yeah, I'm flying through a giant house. Isn't that nice? Also, it was so easy the second time. Was that a different segment? Is that what happened there? Yeah, this is a, again, so once you go from surviving, you have to get into, okay, now I can start to do some things, carrying some more speed, making sure you go as high as you can for as many boosters as you can, making sure that you don't get trapped on these because they slow you down quite a bit. There's a lot of, tiny subtleties that have to be improved. Oh, I could have flown out the window, it looks like. Saved myself a lot of work. But either way, here I am at the very end of the level, and I'm only a minute and 2 seconds behind my best time. So, wow, I'm doing really great, I think you'll find. Anyway, the final 3 maps are Excalibur, Icarus, and Celt. These are all available as parts of DLC, with the exception of those free maps I mentioned earlier. I do like the way that they did this better, because with the battle maps, the free maps were always available, but by slowly releasing them, it felt like people would master each of the free maps, and if they didn't feel like buying the DLC, it felt like you were still getting something for free without feeling entirely pushed on the DLC. Although it does have to be mentioned, something very weird about this is that Minecraft Console Edition was 7 separate platforms. All of those have every single one of the maps that I've mentioned so far for all of the editions of the game, with the one notable exception being the Nintendo Switch. That's right, not the Wii U, that super old console by the time this released. The Nintendo Switch edition of Minecraft has only one DLC map available. It's the Chinese mythology one, and all of the others are noticeably missing. And this is true in 2023, but it was true as all of them were coming out too, which is why it was a real big question that some people even decided to ask Minecraft, to the point where they even replied, and their response is just vexing to me.
What about Switch Battle DLC? Is there any missing DLC on?
So yeah, so you know that none of the minigame DLC is on Switch at the moment.
That's right.
And that's kind of intentional at the moment. We'll keep noodling on that. Not saying it will never appear, but at the moment it's not planning to be there at this stage, which will disappoint lots of people, but that's the way it is at the moment.
Wait, did he just say that's kind of intentional? Without ever going into more details, he does say slightly later in the clip that he believes, that this isn't going to be the case forever, but it's not really too sure. What happened with Nintendo that meant they couldn't release these maps? I really want to know, because the best guess I can come up with is that Nintendo licensed the Super Mario Mashup Pack. I believe that's the best-selling piece of Minecraft DLC ever, by the way, and so as a result, oh, maybe they didn't like the idea of Princess Peach flying through the human body or something ridiculous like that. But even then, it's a real stretch, and the answer will never be known. But for the rest of time, Nintendo Switch Edition is not where you can play minigames, but all of the other 6 editions were being fully updated until the Bedrock Thing happened.
Minecraft really is better together.
I feel like a normal YouTube video that covers one of these weird depths of games would go into full detail and be like, well, the Bedrock Thing is when Minecraft decided that the version that was on Android, iOS, and PC would also launch on consoles. But the simple version of this is that yes, Minecraft Console Edition was developed by 4J Studios, whereas Minecraft Bedrock Edition, also known as Minecraft Pocket Edition at the time, was developed by Minecraft themselves, and Minecraft realized that they could port this to the platforms which were currently being served by Minecraft Console Edition. And so one by one, Minecraft decided to remove the Console Edition and replace it with Minecraft Bedrock. This was just known as Minecraft, so confusingly, you had to switch from Minecraft Xbox One Edition to Minecraft. The amount of confusion this caused was huge, especially because Microsoft wanted no pushback to this. They wanted it to seem like infinitely a good thing, so they were deliberately vague about certain details, just saying, yes, your worlds will transfer over and they'll be infinite and you'll have cross-platform, and don't ask any more questions. What do you mean, minigames? And so the minigames were entirely removed from the Bedrock version of the game. Minecraft and Minecraft Xbox One Edition were very similar. Minecraft and Minecraft Switch Edition were very similar, with the notable absence of the minigames because there was something better, the servers. However, even as someone who has dozens of hours in Minecraft multiplayer, dozens more than I want, I'm very much an introverted person, I'd rather play Minecraft like it's a single player game. I'd rather play Life like it's a single player game. The fewer humans I interact with on a daily basis, the happier I usually am. But even in my particular case, I can say, yeah, Minecraft multiplayer just was never the same as the minigames. Even the survival games and even the things that were built to replicate it never did quite achieve that. And this raises an obvious question, which is that Minecraft spent so much in the production of the Minecraft minigames, not to mention the marketing, and not to mention the community engagement that has real value. And so what are they going to do with it now? Or to word that differently, what is the future of minigames? So this is where things get interesting, because the studio that produced all of the minigames to date is still around, and the answer to will they make another minigame is that they actually had one in development. It was heavily hinted there'd be a build battle minigame. This was not only a very popular server minigame, people love to build, but also it was one of the big series that at the time the biggest Minecraft Console Edition YouTuber, Stampy Longhead, was kind of known for, so they made a big hint about, oh, what about a building time minigame?
Wouldn't it be really cool if you added some sort of building mini game into the console versions?
A building time in the console version. Now that is a good idea. Who knows, maybe we'll have a rematch if there is a next Minecon at the next Minecon.
It is not known if they had plans for more minigames past this point because, again, the Bedrock Thing happened, and then 4J was basically forbidden from making major updates to the game to do anything but to bring it in line with the Bedrock Edition. So the PS4 edition was updated all the way till 2019, but at the point of Bedrock coming to Xbox One, this was when Minecraft Console Edition started revving down the gears. However, this doesn't change the fact that there are all these minigames. They are hard-coded into Minecraft, and it seems like a waste not to bring them to Bedrock. However, no official talks have been held between 4J and Mojang about exactly how to do this, and honestly, it's not clear that Mojang would even want that. Think about it this way. Minecraft already makes something like a 45% cut on anything you buy on servers, anything you buy on the marketplace, and so if you want to get a glide map, you can already buy one, and it doesn't matter if they make it themselves because they're making a cut when the community sells it or when a server sells it to you anyway. And so ultimately, even though Minecraft have these very beautiful soundtracks, even though they have all of these beautiful handcrafted worlds and a hardcore fan base that would be excited to see them, the business case for Mojang just is not there right now. At some point, maybe there can be a console edition, bundle it all together, make it work somewhere in there, but right now it's not in Mojang's plans because their current plans are basically let the community make the content. Whether it's a server owner or whether it's a marketplace owner, they would rather the community makes the content for the game game so they can focus on the updates and on being a platform for all of that other stuff to release. I mean, this is the way you make money in business. It is a sad truth of the world that the biggest hotel company in the world, Airbnb, owns no hotels. The biggest taxi company in the world owns no taxis. That is Uber, and Minecraft knows that if they make all the Minecraft content themselves, they might make some money, but it's much more profitable to be a middleman than to actually produce things, which is why Apple makes their money not from selling you a $300 iPhone for $1,000, but instead from taking a 30% cut on anything you buy on that given iPhone. It is a real big way to make money, is simply to say to people, yeah, how about you give us a small percentage and hope that nobody notices. I mean, I guess that's the way governments work, but this is a much wider societal commentary than I was trying to go for. The main point is that Minecraft is not in the business of producing first-party content. They have never made their own mini-games. They've only contracted out to 4J, and sadly, it seems like they never will, which means only one question remains: will the community step up and fill that void? Can Minecraft's community make something that is good as mini-games? And the sad answer to this, in my opinion, is no. There are 3 key reasons why. One is budget. There is no Minecraft marketplace studio that has anywhere near the budget of a literal game developer, a multi-million game developer, because they happen to work on one of the biggest games of all time, by the way. The second is the fact that it won't ever be baked in again. This means that there isn't going to be the same audience level. There is no marketplace map that is sold anywhere near any of the mashup packs or the glide map or the battle maps or even skin packs, because it's a much more fractured community. So you're never going to have the same player base in one spot. There's never going to be that networking which is built into the game, and so you won't just be able to hit one button and join. There's always going to be at least a few buttons to join on a server. But the third and perhaps the biggest reason is going to have to be the sheer integration which Minecraft Battle had into the game. You could use a data pack or you could use a behavior pack to do exactly what Minecraft Battle did, but to have that be pre-installed on everyone's device when they download a title update, to be able to play that offline with your friends or to be able to talk about that with your friends because you've all played the exact same map, is something that is a problem in the Minecraft community right now. There are no huge maps, there is no major source where people congregate, because everything is very much fractured into sub-communities. This is a very good thing in some ways, but it also leads to something to be desired with regards to there is no major content that everyone has experienced anymore. Although Skyblock might still exist in weird niche forms, although some people are doing hardcore, the biggest challenges in Minecraft that come from maps are that just by their sheer volume, each of them is always going to be quite niche. I can talk to this firsthand. I have released maps and, it's worth saying that they have hundreds or thousands of reviews, but this still means that 0.0001% of Minecraft players have downloaded one of those maps. Kind of necessarily, even though it's built into the game, that if there is someone who wants to download maps, they've got tens of thousands of choices, and how will they ever pick mine? How will they ever pick the next person's or the most popular? The truth is, it's very, very hard to find stuff. It's very hard to have these central hubs, and it's a big shame, and it's something I try to do my best to combat here on this channel. I mean, for the years that the minigames were releasing, I was covering them to let people know that, yeah, here were the fun secrets in the lobby, or here were the fun things you could do with maps. I loved when there was a central set of things that we could all be excited about together, and I would love to do the same in maps, and indeed I try my best whenever there's a fun big collab, but ultimately there is a big flaw in Minecraft's methodology, which is that they built something revolutionary. They built these incredible mini games that cannot be replicated, and then they decide that they were not dedicated enough to bring them anywhere else, and so they scrapped them in favor of a new direction. That was the rise and the fall and then the vanishing of the mini games that exist. However, it is worth mentioning, because you can still play the old console editions, they are going to be getting older and older as the platforms they're on age to dust. Seriously, the Xbox 360 is turning into an adult this year. I was an adult still playing the Xbox 360 as my primary console. I was 18 and that was my major thing, and now it itself is going that old. It is really a mind mess to me, but yeah, I will still be playing Minecraft on this channel. I'll still be trying to raise awareness of the great things the community does, and indeed any servers does, and I'll be keeping an eye out for server mini games that match what is being done by 4J, but I wouldn't hold my breath too long. This has been my love letter to Minecraft mini games. If you missed the mini games too, I'd love to hear from you in the comments down below. I feel like just having a space like this to collectively share our nostalgia is always a good thing, and if you are someone who appreciates Minecraft Console Edition, likes Minecraft still but doesn't really find the same communities, subscribing to the channel is a great way to make sure that you can do precisely that in the future, because that is what I'll be covering on this channel. I have a few fun things I want to do with the Console Edition, and indeed, I will even be streaming Minecraft Console Edition on the anniversary of Tumble. It is later in in August if you're curious, and yeah, it'll be fun to do that. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it, although it's a while from now, but make sure you come check it out anyway. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. I hope you enjoyed this super long video. Thank you very much to Harrison for editing it. Thank you for 4J Studios for producing something which was a real part of many people's childhoods, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.